Every year, taxpayers around the world pour billions of dollars into scientific research, funding breakthroughs in medicine, climate science, AI, and beyond. But here's the twist. The public pays to fund the research, and then pays again to access it. Scientific discoveries that should belong to everyone are often locked behind expensive paywalls, owned not by the scientists or the public, but by a handful of powerful corporations. In a Reddit thread titled, "Why do I have to pay $35 to read a paper my taxes paid for?" one commenter summed it up. We're funding knowledge, but renting it back. So, who really profits from science? In this video, we'll explore the hidden economy behind academic research, how it's funded, who controls access to it, and who ultimately makes money off the world's discoveries. Because if knowledge is power, we need to ask, who owns it? Let's start at the root, funding. In the US alone, the National Institutes of Health, NIH, invested over $45 billion in research in 2023, with most of it going to universities and research institutions. Across the globe, governments play a similar role, bankrolling studies in everything from quantum computing to cancer treatment. But here's the catch. Even though this work is often publicly funded, the intellectual property, IP, and commercialization rights frequently go to private companies. A stark example is the pharmaceutical industry. The COVID-19 vaccines were developed with billions in public investment. Pfizer-BioNTech received over $400 million from Germany. Moderna received nearly $1 billion from the US. Yet the resulting products were patented and priced for profit. In a popular YouTube comment under a John Oliver segment on Big Pharma, one viewer wrote, "It's like we cooked the meal, and then they charged us to eat it." Even university research is up for grabs. Through mechanisms like the Bayh-Dole Act in the US, universities can patent publicly funded discoveries and license them to corporations. This has led to valuable tech transfers, but also sparked ethical concerns about privatizing public. The result? A system where taxpayers fund the risk, while corporations reap the rewards. And most of us never see the research we paid for. Imagine this. A scientist spends years researching a breakthrough, funded by public grants. They publish in a journal owned by a private company like Elsevier or Springer Nature. The journal then charges universities, libraries, and even the public hundreds to thousands of dollars in subscription fees. This model has created an $11 billion academic publishing industry, dominated by just 5 companies. Elsevier, for example, has profit margins around 35 to 40%, rivaling some of the most profitable tech giants. Their business model? They get free content from researchers, free peer review from other researchers, and then sell it back. A Redditor in r/Ask Academia called it the biggest racket you've never heard of. And they're not wrong. To fight back, many researchers now advocate for open access publishing, where studies are freely available. But even then, researchers often have to pay thousands in article processing charges, APCS, to get their work published open access, costs that again come from public grants. Platforms like Sci-Hub emerge as a response, a pirate site that provides free access to paywalled papers. It's controversial, but it's also hugely popular among students, independent researchers, and even scientists themselves, especially in low-income countries. So while the public pays to create knowledge and pays again to access it, the real profits flow to a few publishing giants. It's a knowledge economy, but one where the wealth is concentrated at the top. It's not just about money, it's also about recognition and access. In academia, prestige equals power, and access to elite journals often determines funding, hiring, and tenure. But this gatekeeping system heavily favors researchers from wealthy institutions and nations. On platforms like Twitter and YouTube, researchers from the Global South have spoken out about the barriers they face, from high publication fees to biased peer review. One Ugandan biologist shared that publishing a single open access paper cost more than their university's entire research budget for the month. Meanwhile, corporate research often stays hidden behind proprietary firewalls. Tech companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon conduct cutting-edge work in AI and neuroscience, but much of it isn't peer-reviewed, isn't publicly available, and isn't subject to the same scrutiny. As a viewer commented under a Veritasium video on scientific publishing, science was meant to be shared. But somewhere along the way, we monetize the microscope. So while some scientists struggle to get their work noticed, others profit from exclusivity. And the public? We're often left out of the conversation entirely, unless we can afford a $45 PDF. Scientific research shapes our world, curing diseases, advancing technology, and solving global problems. And yet, the system that surrounds it often feels upside down. Public funds drive the discoveries. Private entities claim the rewards. And the general public, whose taxes made it all possible, is often locked out of the results. This isn't just an academic issue. It's about equity, access, and the kind of society we want to live in. Should life-saving knowledge be treated like a commodity, or should science, at its core, serve the people who fund and depend on it? As we rethink how science is published, funded, and shared, one thing is clear: transparency matters. And asking who profits from research isn't just about money, it's about fairness. So next time you see a headline about a new breakthrough, ask yourself, who funded it, who owns it, and who's really